Yes, you can. A podcast for high achievers. Hi, I'm Tammy North. I'm the owner of the Genuine Driven Women brand of businesses. The goal of this podcast is to help you become the best that you can be. Don't ever doubt the power you have to make the world a better place. Yes, you can make a difference. According to a study by David I. from the New School for Social Research, in Glovich from Cornell University, published in 2018, titled The Ideal Road Not Taken, most people often regret the person they could have been much more than they regret not becoming the person that they should have been. So in other words, this study stated that they regretted decisions that they did not take that would have led to their ideal self or their very best version of themselves, much more than they regretted not making some decisions that would have led to the person that they ought to be, or the person that they felt they had the responsibility to be. You know, the person that society basically expected them to be. Additionally, they regretted the decisions they did not take that they wish they had, much more than they regretted the decisions that they did take that might have ended badly. So bad decisions were not regretted as much as decisions not even taken. I thought this was really interesting because this is something I think about a lot, and I really believe that we were put on this earth for a purpose. And that what if you know that you were here for a purpose and yet you didn't even take one step toward becoming that ideal person? Essentially, there's 3 outcomes that you could attain at the end of your life, and one will be exactly what you do attain, or your actual self. One will be the best possible version of yourself that you could have become. This would be your ideal self. And then finally, there is the self that you ought to have become. And this one is based on many things, including the expectations of others, society, your family, friends, what others place on you. Some examples of this might be, especially back in the late 60s and early 70s, some women deciding to enter the workforce when there were many people that thought they ought to stay home and take care of the children. But what if some of those women weren't ready to stay home and take care of children yet? And what if they did decide to get married when they were very young, have children, and then essentially at that point, they had the responsibility to take care of those children for a number of years before they could actually start taking the steps toward attaining their ideal self. So that's kind of the conflict that I'm talking about. If you picture all these 3 possibilities of yourself at the end of your life, you could picture them in a Venn diagram, one that shows all the overlapping possibilities, and what you actually do attain will cover some of what your ideal self could have been, and it'll also cover some of what people believe you should have accomplished. And at the end of your life, in both of these cases, in both the could and the should circles, you might find that only a very small percentage of the possible outcomes will have been attained. So what this study said is that your incomplete list of could have beens for either the ideal outcome or the should have been outcome, your ideal outcomes that are not attained will be the ones that haunt you the most at the end of your life. So basically, if you feel that you have a purpose, if you feel you're here for a reason, if you feel that you have a special power that you should be sharing with the world, and yet you don't take one step toward it, that is what you will have the absolute greatest regret when it comes to the end of your life. Inside of this study, there was a quote from The Wonder Years, which was a TV series in the 1990s. I love it, actually. I thought it was funny this quote was in the study, but it's actually perfect, so I see why they did include it. Here's the quote. "When you are a little kid, you are a little bit of everything. You're an artist, a scientist, an athlete, and a scholar. Sometimes it seems life is like a process of giving up those things one by one. And I guess we all have one thing that we regret giving up. There's one thing we really miss. And we gave it up because we were too lazy, we couldn't stick it out, or because we were afraid." So as you think back to your childhood and your younger years, what was it that you really felt passionate about? What was it that you felt this is something that just gives me great joy to be doing, and that yet you don't ever do it anymore at all? And why is that? Why did you stop doing that? Especially if it gives you joy. So if you look through our previous episodes in this podcast feed, you'll find an episode titled Other People's Opinion of Your Dream. I'll put a link to that episode in the show notes. In that episode, we covered one major reason that people don't follow through with their passion, especially a passion they discover early in life. Often somebody may have told them that they were wrong for having that dream. Did someone tell you very early in your life to stop dreaming? Did they tell you to get your head out of the clouds? Did they tell you that you're never going to achieve the dream that you felt deep in your soul? Sometimes only you know who you are and what you are capable of. Have you ever felt a moment of clarity or heard some inner voice calling out to you, telling you to go a particular direction with your life? Your passion or dream might change as you go through life, and it could be related to love or life or family or creativity, but it could also be something much bigger, something that's guiding you toward the reason you're here on this planet, toward your actual purpose in life. What if you hear this voice and then you suppress it? What if you try to forget about it? What if you push it to the back burner? Even though there's a huge part of you who believes that you could actually achieve this dream if you tried, what if you never actually try? What if you Netflix and chill and stare at that smartphone for the next year instead? And then what if next year you do that again, and year after year, never taking one step or even one tiny movement closer to the ideal you? Even if you do everything else you ought to do, even if you do everything else society thinks you should, you will regret the decisions you made to take an easier, well-traveled road. What do you want out of your life? And I'm not talking about what you want and what you also think other people expect from you. I'm talking about what you want, what you really want. When you dream of who you would be if there were no limits and no roadblocks, if you could be anything you wanted to be in the entire world, what would you be doing? Are you on the path to that dream right now? Are you taking steps every day to make that dream come true? Or are you planning on something that's safer, something that's a compromise in your eyes, something that's easy to accomplish, something that you already have the skills and the ability to do today? If you believe your passion is in the job you're dreaming about, and if you feel like you're missing out on your life's purpose, you must ask yourself, what is keeping you from moving forward to this dream? Is it fear? So let's talk about some common fears. There's fear of failure. You don't want to move toward this dream even though you think that it would be awesome if you could spend all of your time in life working on this in this certain career or on this certain type of project. Maybe you're an artist and you would like to be creative and doing some type of thing related to that, but you think to yourself, what if I fail? What if I can't make it work? And so you don't even try, not even a little, to move toward it. What about the fear of making mistakes? Because as you start to move forward and as you start to climb a ladder, either in the workplace, in the corporate workplace, or possibly starting your own business, or just having some sort of hobby that puts you out there. Maybe you've always wanted to be a race car driver. Maybe you always wanted to ride a motorcycle. Maybe you always wanted to learn how, maybe you wanted to go and do rifle competitions. Maybe your fear of making mistakes and embarrassing yourself in front of other people is what is keeping you from it. But everybody has to start somewhere. And I hear this so often, that you shouldn't think that your page 1 has to be equal to somebody else's page 350. This is your story. This is your journey. So your page 1 can start any day you want it to start. You just have to decide. And yes, you're going to make mistakes, but when you make those mistakes, you're going to learn, and you're going to have other people around you, and it'll make you authentic, and it'll make you real, and it'll be okay. And then you will figure out what to do next. You'll move forward, and then you'll make the same mistakes less and less until you become an expert, until you become somebody who's literally on the path to making your dreams come true. What about the fear you have of how long it's going to actually take you to get to your goal? Maybe your goal is so huge that you think, well, I would like to do that, but I'm already 35 and I think it'll take 10 years to make that goal a reality. Okay, well, what if you reach your goal when you're 45? That sounds pretty amazing to me. You can live another 60 years with that being your reality. It doesn't matter. You have to start. Don't fear how long it's going to take you. Just start today. What if you think people will not understand and you fear what they'll think about you? And I'm talking about your friends, your family, your parents. There are people who will not understand what you're doing. They won't understand why, and they won't want to be part of that journey. And if you move toward who you really are and who you really want to be, it is true. There are some people that will jump off your wagon. They won't want to come with you. But the good news is, as you move toward your more authentic self and becoming who you want to be, there are new people that will jump on and want to help you and want to go with you and want to be part of your journey. It's true, we have a lot of comfort in the people that have come along on our journey to this point, but those same people look at you and can't imagine you going forward to who you want to be, and they will hold you back. What if you do all the work to attain this dream, and it's a really hard dream? Maybe it's going to take you 5 years to get there, but you do all the steps. Maybe you have to take some college courses, maybe you need a degree, maybe you're going to need 2 years years of experience doing this and 2 years of experience doing that. And then finally you'll have the qualifications to be what you thought you wanted to be. And maybe you actually attain that goal. And once you get there, you find out you won't really want it. But I'll tell you this, that's a legitimate fear to spend all that energy. But if you have a feeling, if there's some reason you think that that's where you're supposed to be heading, sometimes you'll start heading up the mountain toward that goal. And then you'll actually realize, oh, there's an offshoot here. And that's what I really want to do. But you wouldn't even find that offshoot unless you were shooting for something. Because sometimes, and I've talked about this in the past, that the current position that I work in today, and even some of the positions I've worked in the last 5 years, I would have never even known they existed when I was 25 or 20 or maybe even 30, that these were not positions I was aware of. So I couldn't even dream to have my current positions. But I did have a dream of some kind that drove me forward. And then once I got far enough along, the possibilities of positions like the one I'm in today opened up and I became aware of them. But if I hadn't have been shooting for something, I would have never even discovered the current position I'm in now. So even if you're afraid that you'll get there and you won't want it, what will be more likely is that you will head up that path and you will get close and you will find something else you actually want. There is no experience and nothing you ever learn that will be a waste of your time. What my grandma used to tell me, learn everything you can, because that's one thing nobody can ever take away from you. Maybe you have the fear that you really aren't good enough and that if you try, that you'll be inadequate and it'll be embarrassing. And maybe people will realize that you shouldn't have even tried to do that in the first place. But that's most likely imposter syndrome. If you go back and listen to the episode in the feed called Don't Tell Anybody But I'm In Over My Head, you will find a lot of ways to deal with imposter syndrome. And I want to make sure that you know that this is one of the big problems with women, especially, is that a job announcement could come out and there could be 10 items listed and a woman will have 9 and maybe even almost 10. But they'll say, oh, I'm missing this one piece. So they will not even apply. Where men might have 5 of the 10 and they'll still apply. And then they will go into the interview and act like they should have been here the whole time. So I really want you to believe in yourself more than you ever have. And I want you to try for positions even when they're a little bit out of your reach, because you will grow into your positions. And a lot of times people are willing to let somebody grow into their position if they're the right fit, if they have the right attitude, if they have the right vision. So don't be afraid to try for something that's out of your reach. Maybe you have a fear that dreams only come true for other people. What if you try for this dream, this goal, this passion project that seems way out of your reach, but then because you see other people doing it in the world, so you know it's a possible thing, you know it's something that does happen. But what if you think that, yeah, but it worked for them, but it's not going to work for me? Just the fact that it did come true for somebody else makes it a possibility. It's definitely not impossible. It's something that somebody else on this earth has done before. And therefore, all you really have to do is figure out the steps they took, figure out your own steps, whatever, but make a plan and work hard and try to get some help along the way. But you can make it a reality for yourself. All you're going to have to do is lay out a plan and just take the baby steps to get there. The fear will never go away completely, but you are brave and you can use your courage to push through and move forward in your plan in spite of your fear. I want you to remember how to dream and then dream big enough so that the thought of achieving this dream is actually exhilarating. The kind of feeling that's both scary and amazing at the same time. You know, like a big roller coaster where you love it and you're like, oh my God, what if I die? That kind of feeling, especially when you achieve success, you will feel unbelievable when it happens, and that is worth it. Don't worry, you don't have to figure out the entire plan of how you're going to reach that dream today, and you also don't have to have all the confidence necessary to be the person who you picture should be in that position today. All you have to do is build toward it step by step, experience by experience. And before you know it, you will be the person with the confidence necessary to be in that position. And you will be the person who actually achieves that dream. My best tip for pushing through fear, especially fear of a really big plan or a really big dream, is to focus on the very next step. That's all. That's all you have to do. That's not scary. If I had a dream to be an airline pilot, is that something that's possible? Maybe. But I wouldn't have to go from being me, the person who leads a group of people in an office situation and podcasting, etc., to suddenly being in an American Airlines jet as the pilot flying people across the country. That wouldn't happen in one day. I would have to decide to go get flying lessons. I would have to find a path. I would have to get experience. experience. I would have to work my way up. There might be a pilot training program. Maybe I could, I'm a little bit old for this point, but it's not like something I couldn't do. Join the military, go get some aviation experience that way. There's like things I could do in order to build myself up to becoming a person who is an airline pilot, if that was seriously a dream I had, which for me, it's not. But you see what I'm saying? It's not like I'm going to have the dream today and then tomorrow I'll be flying, 300 people across the country. It's the very next step. So for me, in that situation, the very next step would be to do research about what it takes to become an airline pilot. It's just research. Research isn't even scary. You don't have to be brave enough to go from your first guitar lesson one day to standing on a stage in a stadium performing complex solos for 20,000 screaming fans. All you have to do is the very next step. So for that, maybe I've never played a guitar before. All I have to do is research lessons and let's schedule a guitar lesson. That's it. So that's what I'm talking about, the very next step. And then you build on that and you build on that. And before you know it, if you stick to your plan and you put in the work, that suddenly 1 year from now, 2 years from now, 5 years from now, you might be achieving your dream. All you have to do is focus on the very next thing. So if you have a dream, something calling to you, what is stopping you from doing the very next step? Or at least just take some of the steps that move you toward your true passion. It seems a very small price to pay to arrive at the end of your life with no regrets. In order to push through fear, you do need to try to be courageous. And so in order to be more courageous, some of the things I recommend is, as we already discussed, just focus on the very next small step, the very next thing you could do. Remember, you will always feel some fear, and that's okay. That makes you normal. That makes you human. Fear is good. Fear keeps us alive. But I need you to feel that fear, and then I need you to take the next step anyway. You must be persistent. You must stay on your path. So just keep taking the next step and the next step toward your dream all the time. And then here to me is one of the most important ones. There will be people who believe that you cannot do this. There will be people who think that what you're doing is ridiculous. There will be people who have no idea why, and they will literally try to talk you out of your dream. But listen to me. Seriously, I need you to ignore these people. Literally, ignore them. If you believe you are on this earth for a reason, you have got to just stay the course and try to become who you know you're supposed to be. And then while you feel this fear, but yet while you're still moving forward, I want you to feel that fear and start to love it. I want you to feel how exhilarating it feels to stretch yourself and to grow beyond anywhere you ever imagined you would be. Whenever you're thinking about trying to stretch yourself and whenever you're trying to move to a place beyond where you are now, I want you to think about and keep in mind other times that you've succeeded. How did that feel? And remember the path you took to that success. What made you stretch to that next place? What motivated you? So use the feeling of that success to motivate you now and to keep pushing forward. The other times you succeeded, did you have challenges? How did you overcome them? And how did that feel? If you have some memories of other times where you felt really brave, where you went out of your comfort zone, and when you really stretched, how did that feel? Those are the kind of things I want you to remember. Take time to reflect upon those, write them in your journal, write them in your daily planner, and just kind of think to yourself how you felt. And if you can capture some of those and focus on them and reflect upon them, I think that'll really help you move forward. What if you're moving toward your dream, toward your purpose, and you reach a brick wall that just seems too hard to get over? Some things I really want you to focus on in this situation is how will you get past this? Take time to brainstorm all the possibilities of ideas, even crazy ones, of how you will get past your current challenge. Maybe think to yourself, is there a smaller step I'm missing? Something that'll just kind of get you a foothold that'll get you over the wall? And then are there any other opportunities in your world that you're overlooking? Somebody that you know, another business in your community that you might be able to, work with to help, where you can work together to get a win-win situation going? Is there anybody you already know who's already accomplished this goal, or maybe this at least the very next step? Could you talk to them and find out what they learned and how they got over the wall? Maybe they could be a mentor. Just whatever you do, don't give up. There's got to be a way, especially if you know somebody else that's attained any of these dreams. There's definitely a way. So you just have to find your way to get around your challenges and to move to that next big step. Once you get around some of these challenges, you'll usually take a giant leap forward. So you can see these lofty goals are not really anything to be afraid of as long as you focus on one piece at a time and just keep going in the same direction. I know you're afraid sometimes. So am I. It only means you're human and that you have an active primal instinct. But fear is normal, but remember, you don't have to be brave enough to take on the entire world on your own. You only have to stop, focus, Break the task into smaller pieces and then muster the courage to take that very next step and then take the next one after that. You were put on this world for a reason. You are special and you know it. You feel it. You hear it calling to you in the quiet parts of your day. Do not suppress this calling. The best life, a well-lived life, is one that's aligned with your purpose and the reason you were put on this earth. There is an ideal version of you. You feel it. Life is meant to be experienced. Put yourself out there, do things you've never done, and live a life where at the end you will have no regrets. You can connect with us on Facebook at Genuine Driven Women, or to learn more about what we offer, check out genuinedrivenwomen.com.